ever get that feeling? Like, there's got to be a more direct way to get what you really want. That may be the usual manifestation stuff, the things we always hear. Maybe it's missing something, a crucial piece.
Oh, absolutely. That's a thought a lot of people stumble upon, actually,
Hmm.
when they start digging into this. And it really sets up perfectly what we're getting into today. We all know the idea of like putting your desires out there. But yeah, there seems to be this hint of something more fundamental at play.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive. We're looking at the law of attraction versus the law of assumption. Really trying to get our heads around the differences, and maybe figure out which one might offer a, well, faster track for you.
Yeah, think of it as like a condensed guide to some uh, really potent principles.
Mm.
Because understanding these nuances,
Hmm.
it could really unlock quicker results, help you bring those goals into reality faster. So yeah, we're exploring these two powerful ideas.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the one most people have probably heard of, the law of attraction. What's the core idea there?
Right. So at its heart, the law of attraction is pretty simple. Like attracts like. It got huge, obviously, with things like The Secret. The main idea is you need to match your inner state, your feeling, people call it vibration, to what you want to attract. Vibration meaning, your general emotional vibe, the energy you're putting out consistently.
Gotcha. So that's where the vision boards come in, gratitude journals, all that stuff, keeping the vibe high.
Exactly that. The thinking is, by focusing on the good stuff, really seeing what you want in your mind, you send out this signal, right?
Hmm.
And that signal pulls similar positive things back to you.
Okay, but you mentioned a catch. What's the potential pitfall here?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. The sources we looked at suggest that the very act of wanting something, like really, really wanting it, that can sometimes keep it at arm's length. If your main feeling is longing, like, I don't have this yet, then that feeling of lack, that can be what gets mirrored back.
Okay. So even if you're saying affirmations.
Right. You can say, I am wealthy all day long, but if deep down you feel broke, that underlying feeling, that lack,
Hmm.
it might be the stronger magnet. One source called it the vibration of wanting, which can actually lead to delayed manifestation.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. You're constantly kind of reinforcing what you don't have. So how does the law of assumption offer a different path?
Okay, so this brings us to Neville Goddard. He's the main guy behind the law of assumption. And his core principle is what you assume to be true becomes your reality.
Assumed to be true.
Okay,
So it's
yeah,
less about pulling something to you and more about
yeah,
what changing yourself.
exactly. It's a fundamental shift in perspective. Instead of trying to attract it, you become the version of you who already has it. The focus moves from waiting for it to show up to just assuming it's already done. It's a finished fact somewhere, somehow.
So it's that whole acting as if idea, living from the end result right now.
Precisely. It's about embodying the feeling, the identity of someone who's already there, not constantly striving for it from a place of lack. Neville had this quote, it's really powerful. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are.
Wow. You manifest what you are. That hits differently.
Okay, let's really break down these differences then. Can we compare them side by side on a few key points?
Yeah, definitely. We can map this out. First, let's look at mindset. Law of attraction often comes from, I want this, or I wish I had this. Law of assumption starts from, I already have this. It's a conviction.
Right, a totally different starting point. Okay,
Mhm.
mindset. What else? What about the main focus?
Okay, focus. Law of attraction tends to zero in on vibration, emotions, getting into alignment. Law of assumption is more about your identity, your core beliefs, the assumptions you hold as true about yourself and reality.
And the techniques people use, they must be different too. They generally are, yeah.
Hmm.
Law of attraction, you see a lot of visualization, gratitude lists, meditation aimed at raising your frequency. Law of assumption uses things like inner conversations, talking to yourself as if it's already done. Also, working on your self-concept, who you believe yourself to be,
Hmm.
and managing your thoughts, a mental diet, focusing only on thoughts that support your assumption.
Okay, mental diet. And the potential limitations or challenges. We talked about the wanting trap for attraction. What about assumption?
Well, yeah, like we said, attraction's challenge can be that desire reinforces lack. With assumption, the idea is your deep assumption overrides everything else, even current reality. The hurdle for some might be genuinely feeling and believing that assumed reality when everything outside looks different. It's not just pretending. It's a deep, settled inner knowing.
Yeah, that sounds like the core challenge, making that internal shift feel real. And what about speed? Does one seem to work faster based on these ideas?
The general take is that the law of assumption can be faster. Because it tackles your identity directly, it sort of bypasses the whole process of trying to adjust your vibration while still feeling the lack. It's presented as a more direct identity level shift.
Okay, this is fascinating. It's like a whole different way of interacting with reality. Do we have any like real world examples? People who seem to embody this law of assumption idea.
Oh, for sure. These really help illustrate it. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She often talks about how she just knew deep down she had this unshakable belief she was destined for great things, long before any proof showed up. That inner conviction, assuming her future success, that lines up perfectly with assumption. She wasn't just hoping, she assumed it.
That's a great example, believing it before seeing it. Any others?
Another classic one is Jim Carrey. You know the story. Before he was famous, he wrote himself that check.
The $10 million check, right?
Exactly. For acting services rendered. And he carried it around. The point wasn't just wishful thinking. It was him acting from the assumption that this reality, this success, was already his, or on its way, inevitably. It's that proactive assumption, not just, crossing your fingers. No pressure to write checks, though. The mindset's the thing.
Right. It's about feeling it's real, even when your bank account or circumstances disagree. And when you have that solid inner conviction, what's supposed to happen externally?
Well, according to these principles, when you truly, genuinely assume something is fact, the external world, the universe, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
it eventually has to rearrange itself to match that inner assumption. It kind of mirrors back the reality you've claimed internally.
Okay, so pulling this all together, it sounds like while both laws might work, the law of assumption offers maybe a more direct path by focusing on who you are being inside, not just what you're trying to pull towards you.
That's a really good way to summarize it, yeah. Law of attraction works for many, no doubt. But assumption potentially speeds things up by going straight to your identity. And it helps sidestep that feeling of lack that often tags along with strong desire.
So for you listening, the big takeaway might be to start thinking about embodying the person who already lives that reality you want, instead of just chasing the dream from the outside. I mean, I can hear people thinking, easy to say
Yeah.
when things are tough, but the principle is about that inner shift first.
Exactly right. It's shifting from wanting to having internally, starting with your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions.
Okay, this has been really, really insightful. So what's a practical first step? If someone listening wants to experiment with this assumption idea, where do they start?
Okay, here's a challenge for you. Try this for, say, the next week. Pick one specific area of your life, just one, and consciously practice the law of assumption there. So instead of focusing on attracting it, just start assuming you already have it.
Assuming. Okay, but what does that actually look like day to day? What actions can you take?
It means things like how you carry yourself, how you talk, even to yourself, how you think. You basically live as if it's already true. So if you want that promotion, you start thinking and acting like someone who's already operating at that level, valued in that way. If it's a relationship, you carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone cherished and connected. You have inner conversations, maybe even outer ones, that reflect this assumed reality.
Okay, that makes it more concrete. Act from the state, not towards it. And how can listeners really, commit to trying this out?
Just make a decision. For the next 7 days, in that one area, shift your focus from attracting to assuming. Just see what happens. Notice how it feels to embody that state of already having it.
So the real core message here seems to be, your reality doesn't need external permission to change. It's reflecting back the identity you're assuming, consciously or unconsciously.
Precisely. That's the essence of it. And look, if this sparks your interest, there's a ton more out there. You can dive deeper into Neville Goddard's specific techniques, how to apply this more broadly.
This really has been an eye-opening deep dive, comparing these two powerful ways of thinking about manifestation. Thanks for breaking it down so clearly, especially the potential power of the law of assumption.
Hey, my pleasure. It's always good to examine these ideas, right, and figure out how you can actually use them. Just remember, that power to shape things, it really lies in your own assumptions. So here's a thought to leave you with. What might shift if you started paying more attention to what you're assuming to be true right now? Something to think about.